For our next story, we take you to the Pacific Ocean, to the island nations of Vanuatu and Fiji. They're caught in a turf war between China and the West. We'll start with Vanuatu. It's a nation made up of about 80 islands. It's home to about 300,000 people. The Prime Minister is under fire. His name is Ismail Kalsakau. Yesterday, he barely survived a no-confidence motion. What for? For compromising Vanuatu's neutral status. And how did he do that? By signing a security pact with Australia. This moved Vanuatu closer to the West. It also upset China and compromised Chinese funding for the country. Now, this Chinese funding is very important. The Prime Minister knows this. So he has tried some damage control. There was a cabinet reshuffle. There were some interesting statements. Vanuatu has a new deputy Prime Minister, and he's been singing China's praises. The Prime Minister, too, posted something on Facebook recently, a thank you note to China for sending a hospital ship. It was greeted with much fanfare. So you see what's happening here. The Prime Minister is trying to strike a balance, but pro-China leaders in the opposition went after him and almost succeeded. The PM lost the no-confidence vote 23 to 26, but luckily for him, the opposition did not get the minimum 27 votes needed to force him out, so he survived by a whisker. And yet this episode shows China's influence in Vanuatu. The Prime Minister is not out of the woods yet. More challenges will follow. He'll have to watch his back. Meanwhile, in neighboring Fiji, an unusual defense summit is taking place. It's their 25th annual defense meet. 25th, so why unusual? Because of the attendees. The summit is being co-hosted by Fiji's military forces and the US Pacific Command. They've invited a total of 33 countries. Among them is China. It's a strange situation if you picture it. American generals in beach shirts talking about the Chinese threat in the Pacific, and a deputy chief of staff of China's Central Military Commission taking notes. What happened, jokes aside, neither China nor the United States commented on whether they'll hold bilateral talks. So then what are Chinese forces doing in Fiji? Fiji's Prime Minister, Sitiveni Rabuka, gave the opening speech at the summit. He said, the Pacific should be a zone of peace. In fact, let me quote from that speech. Only by fostering trust and dialogue can we overcome the complexities of an interconnected world. A noble sentiment. It sounds like a bid to stay neutral. Prime Minister Rabuka also said something else on his Facebook post. We must seize this opportunity to adapt, to modernize, and to forge new partnerships. Is he talking about all nations becoming friends and getting along? Or is he talking about Fiji forming new partnerships with China? You see, in the beginning of this month, Fiji and China conducted what they called a comprehensive security review. Fiji's Home Minister spoke about fostering trust and collaboration between the two countries. Their police forces already collaborate. They conduct joint training sessions, also joint patrols. It's one of the many signs of Fiji's pivot towards China, and now they've invited China to a defense summit with America. What does it tell you? That there is a turf war in the Pacific. The US and China are fighting for influence, and island nations are being forced to pick sides. Their politics is being shaped by their allegiance to either power. China has been using its checkbook diplomacy to win friends. It has been worming its way into Pacific politics, trying to sign security pacts with the island nations and trying to wean them away from Western partnerships. Pacific nations have traditionally been in the Western sphere of influence, under the military umbrella of the US, which, by the way, has multiple bases in the region. It's been that way for decades. But China's latest moves are upsetting the balance. They're forcing the West to match the outreach. So the Americans are sending delegations. Australia, too, has stepped up. It's acting like a regional hegemon. The recent security pact with Vanuatu is proof. But is this a case of too little too late? Can the West still keep a hold of its Pacific allies? Or has China successfully embedded itself too deep into the region? Or better still, can the Pacific Islands benefit from this attention rather than being caught in a proxy war? The weeks and months ahead should reveal the answers.